The Qing Dynasty was the last imperial dynasty in Chinese history. The dynasty, proclaimed in Shenyang in 1636, seized control of Beijing in 1644, which is considered the start of the dynasty's rule. The dynasty lasted until 1912, when it was overthrown in the Xinhai Revolution. It was the largest imperial dynasty in the history of China, and in 1790, the fourth largest empire in world history in terms of territorial size. Especially, this is a Manchu-led imperial dynasty, ruled China for nearly 300 years. So how the Manchu people, an ethnic minority in northeast China, conquer China? Let's explore in these series film about this extraordinary conquest. Initial Jurchen conquests. Conquest of Liaodong and other Jurchen tribes, 1601 to 1626. Retrospectively hailed as the founder of the Qing Dynasty, Nurhaci, the chief of Jianzhou Jurchens, was appointed paramount chieftain of the Yalu region by the Ming Dynasty in 1589. Initially viewed as too weak to challenge the larger Yehe and Hada tribes, Nurhaci proved his mettle by defeating them in 1591, acquiring numerous war horses in the process. In his early years, Nurhaci saw himself as a guardian of the Ming border, aligning with imperial Ming authority. Acting on the counsel of his officials, he established the later Qing Dynasty in 1616, drawing inspiration from the historical Jurchen-led Qing Dynasty. By unifying Jurchen tribes and incorporating a majority of Han Chinese defectors and Ming-produced firearms into his army, Nurhaci bolstered later Qing's strength. In 1618, Nurhaci formally severed ties with the Ming, citing 7 grievances, and led his army from Hetu Ala, capturing Fushun along the Hun River. Over time, he united various tribes, including the formidable Yehe Jurchens under Taiji, who had initially opposed him, but were eventually defeated. During Nurhaci's reign, the Warka peoples along the Pacific coast became tributary tribes. By 1621, the Ming fortress cities of Liaodong had fallen to the later Qin. Nurhaci's reorganization of the Jurchens into the 8 banners saw the creation of Manchu clans, often artificially formed from unrelated groups. He also delved into Chinese literature, drawing insights on military and political strategies from works like Romance of the Three Kingdoms and Water Margin. However, Nurhaci met his demise in a defeat at Ningyuan in February 1626, succumbing to mortal wounds inflicted during the siege. First Joseon campaign. The previous year, the later Qin suffered a defeat at the Battle of Ningyuan, resulting in the death of their great Khan, Nurhaci, from serious wounds sustained in the battle. Peace talks with the Ming delayed any immediate aggressive response to the Jurchen loss, as Ming General Yuan Chonghuan focused on fortifying border garrisons and training new musketeers. The new later Qin's great Khan, Hong Taiji, sought a swift victory to solidify his position and replenish his army and subjects, who had suffered in the conflict with the Ming in the Battle of Ningyuan. In 1627, Hong Taiji dispatched Princes Amin, Jirgalang, Ajige, and Yoto with 30,000 troops to Joseon, under the guidance of Gang Hongrip and Li Yongfang. The Jurchens faced stiff resistance at the border towns, but quickly overcame the Joseon garrisons. The Jurchens then attacked Anju, where the garrisons chose mass suicide by detonating their gunpowder storehouse rather than face defeat. Pyongyang fell without resistance. Upon hearing news of the invasion, the Ming court dispatched a relief contingent to Joseon, slowing the Jurchen advance into Huangju. King Injo sent an envoy to negotiate peace, But before the messenger returned, Inzhou fled from Hanseong to Ganghwa Island in a state of panic. Mongolia Campaign, 1625–1635. In 1626, the Korchan Mongols forged an alliance with Nurhaci and the Yurkins, seeking protection against the Khalkha Mongols and Chahar Mongols, who had caused the deaths of 7 Korchan nobles in 1625. This pivotal event marked the beginning of the Korchan's alignment with the Qing. Dorgan engaged in battles against the Chahar Mongols in 1628 and 1635. In 1632, an expedition was launched to confront the Chahar Mongols and establish a trading post at Zhangjiakou. The later Jin forces successfully vanquished the armies of Mongol Khan Ligdan, who was allied with the Ming, thereby terminating his reign over the northern Yuan. This victory in 1634 not only secured the allegiance of the southern Mongol tribes to the Qing, but also provided a significant influx of forces while depriving the Ming of the same resource. Furthermore, the capture of the Great Seal of the Mongol Khans enabled the Qing to present themselves as the rightful successors of the Yuan dynasty. Hong Taiji established Qing Dynasty. Hong Taiji, the 8th son of Nurhaci, ascended to the throne as the second ruler of the later Jin dynasty in 1626. He implemented reforms such as organizing imperial examinations to recruit Han Chinese scholar officials and adopting Chinese legal structures. He established autonomous Han Chinese military colonies governed by Han Chinese officials, excluding Manchus. At the advice of Han Chinese advisors, he introduced Confucian education and Ming-style government ministries. Hong Taiji reduced the influence of Manchu princes by favoring Han Chinese officials and personally welcomed surrendered Ming commanders, fostering a rapport impossible with the Ming emperors. Dissatisfied Manchus, led by Prince Amin, retaliated by massacring the populations of Qian'an and Yongping. Hong Taiji responded by imprisoning Amin, who later died in captivity. With the surrender of Dalinghe in 1631, capable Ming army officers became loyal followers of the new dynasty, shifting the conflict from one between Chinese and Manchus to a civil war between Mukden and Beijing. Meanwhile, in the Ming, the Wuqiao Mutiny erupted in 1631, led by Kong Yudi and Geng Zhongming. Undersupplied and underpaid soldiers mutinied and defected to the Jurchens en masse, purging suspected Ming loyalists. On May 14, 1636, Hong Taiji declared himself Emperor of China, renaming his regime from Great Jin to Great Qing, renaming of the Jurchens to Manchus, and ascending to the throne in a grand Confucian ceremony. Second Joseon Campaign, 1636–1637. Due to conflicts with the Ming dynasty that brought economic hardship and famine to its subjects, the later Jin compelled Joseon to establish border markets. Additionally, Joseon was required to transfer suzerainty of the Warka tribe to the Jin, along with providing a tribute comprising 100 horses, 100 tiger and leopard skins, 400 bolts of cotton, and 15,000 pieces of cloth, which was to be delivered by King Inzhou's brother. However, in subsequent correspondence, Hong Taiji lamented that the Koreans did not adhere to the terms of the agreement, accusing them of failing to acknowledge their defeat. Despite this, Joseon merchants continued trading with Ming and assisting Ming subjects with grain and rations, prompting Taiji to criticize their actions and stress that Joseon's resources should be reserved for its own people. To prevent Ming reinforcements, Taiji dispatched Princes Abatai, Zhigalang, and Ajige to secure the coastal approaches to Korea before leading a combined force of Manchu, Mongol, and Han Chinese banners against Joseon on December 9, 1636. Chinese support, notably in artillery and naval contingents, was conspicuous. Former Ming mutineer Kong Yude, honored as the Qing's Prince Gongshun, participated in attacks on Ganghwa and Ka, alongside defectors Geng Zhongming and Shang Kexi, who played significant roles in the invasion. Following the Second Manchu invasion of Korea, Joseon was compelled to provide several royal princesses as concubines to the Qing Manchu regent Prince Dorgon. Liaoxi Campaign, 1638-1642. In 1638, Qing armies conducted deep raids into China, reaching as far as Jinan in Shandong province before swiftly retreating back across the Great Wall. Despite this incursion, the Ming Emperor opted to focus all efforts on combating rebel forces, likening the Qing to a minor skin rash compared to the more serious visceral disease posed by the rebels. In 1641, Jinzhou came under siege by a formidable force, including over 30 cannons from Han Chinese banner artillery under Manchu Prince Zhigalang, supported by Korean artillery led by Yu Im. However, outbreaks of disease incapacitated the Korean forces. Subsequently, the fortress city of Songshan fell after a significant battle, largely due to the defection and betrayal of Ming commander Xia Chengde. In response, the emperor ordered the garrison commander of Ningyuan, Wu Sangui, to launch an offensive, but his efforts were swiftly repelled. Another raid into the interior of China was led by Manchu Prince Abatai, who penetrated as far as northern Jiangsu province, plundering 12,000 gold taels and 2,200,000 silver taels. Ming Grand Secretary Zhou Yanru refused to engage in battle, instead fabricating reports of victories and extorting bribes to conceal defeats. Prince Regent Dorgon later found amusement in reading captured Ming military reports, as many were fabricated tales of triumph. Meanwhile, rebel forces continued to advance. Following the fall of Songshan, Zhu Dashu, the commander of Jinzhou, defected on April 8, 1642, at the urging of his brother and sons, who were formerly Ming generals. This defection handed the city over to the Qing. With the collapse of defenses in Liaoxi, Wu Sangui's forces near the Shanhai Pass stood as the last barrier against the Qing army's march towards Beijing. Entering Beijing, take over China. In its twilight years, the Ming Dynasty grappled with a series of calamities, including famines, floods, economic upheaval, and uprisings. In the 1630s, Li Zicheng instigated rebellion in Shanxi, while Zhang Xianzhong led a mutiny in Sichuan during the 1640s. Historians estimate that Li Zicheng's self-proclaimed reign saw the deaths of up to 1 million people, marked by widespread terror. Meanwhile, as Dorgon and his advisors deliberated on strategies against the Ming, peasant revolts ravaged northern China, threatening the Ming capital, Beijing. In February 1644, Li Zicheng established the Shun dynasty in Xi'an and seized Taiyuan in March. As the rebels advanced on April 5th, the Ming Chongzhen emperor urgently sought military aid from any available commandant. By April 24th, Li Zicheng breached Beijing's walls, prompting the Ming Chongjin Emperor's suicide the following day, marking the Ming dynasty's end in Beijing. Meanwhile, in the Shenyang, just when the Qing army was ready to enter the Zhongyuan. In early August 1643, Hong Taiji died of a stroke at the age of 52. After the death of Hong Taiji, his younger brother Dorgan, prince of Nurhaci and Huang Taiji's eldest son, Haoge, were fighted for the throne. In the end, Dorgan supported Hong Taiji's ninth son, Fulin, to ascend the throne as Emperor Shunji of the Qing Dynasty. Dorgan and Jirgalang was appointed as co-regents to aiding the 6-year-old emperor. Amidst the chaos, the Qing proposed an alliance with Li Zicheng's Shun forces on March 6, 1644, suggesting a joint attack on the Ming to divide northern China. However, Li Zicheng received the proposal and made an offer to the Ming emperor through the former eunuch Du Shun, proposing to fight the Qing on behalf of the Ming if granted control over his fief, payment of 1 million taels, and confirmation of his noble rank. Despite Li Zicheng's intentions to recognize Ming royalty under his new Shun dynasty, misunderstandings ensued, leading to the Ming's downfall. Right before the Ming Empire crumbled, Ming General Wu Sangui marched towards Beijing, but learned of its fall and returned to the Shanhai Pass. Li Zicheng's attempts to seize the pass were thwarted, prompting Wu Sangui to request Qing assistance. With Wu Sangui's stronghold relinquished, Qing advisors urged Dorgan to seize the opportunity and claim the mandate of heaven for the Qing. Thus, when Dorgan received Wu Sangui's plea, he was already prepared to attack northern China, with no intention of restoring the Ming. When Dorgan proposed that Wu Sangui serve the Qing instead, Wu had little choice but to accept. Following Wu Sangui's formal surrender to the Qing on the morning of May 27th, his elite troops launched multiple charges against the rebel army, yet failed to penetrate their defenses. Dorgan patiently waited for both sides to weaken before commanding his cavalry to maneuver around Wu's right wing and strike Li's left flank. This strategic move led to the swift routing of Li Zicheng's troops, who hastily retreated towards Beijing. Subsequent to their defeat at the Battle of Shanhai Pass, the Shun forces pillaged Beijing for several days until Li Zicheng departed the capital on June 4th, laden with as much wealth as he could carry, defiantly proclaiming himself Emperor of the Great Shun, just a day prior. On June 5, 1644, Dorgan, riding a Manchu horse with his shaven forehead, presented himself as the Prince Regent upon entering Beijing. Amidst the chaos, Dorgan's orders were issued to the troops to refrain from looting, contributing to a remarkably smooth transition to Qing rule. However, despite avowing to avenge the Ming, Dorgan simultaneously decreed that all contenders to the Ming throne, including descendants of the last Ming emperor, and their supporters should be executed. Just 2 days after his arrival in the city, on June 7th, Dorgan issued special decrees to officials throughout the capital, offering assurance that if the local populace consented to shave their foreheads, wear a queue, and surrender, the officials could retain their positions. Dorgan welcomed the Shunji Emperor at Beijing's gates on October 19, 1644. On October 30th, the 6-year-old monarch conducted rituals to honor heaven and earth at the altar of heaven. A formal enthronement ceremony for Fulin took place on November 8th, during which the young emperor likened Dorgan's accomplishments to those of the Duke of Zhou, a revered regent from antiquity. In this ceremony, Dorgan's official title was elevated from Prince Regent to Uncle Prince Regent, with the Manchu term for uncle, representing a rank higher than that of an imperial prince. 3 days later, Dorgan's co-regent, Jirgalang, was demoted from Prince Regent to Assistant Uncle Prince Regent. By June 1645, Dorgan decreed that all official documents should address him as Imperial Uncle Prince Regent, positioning himself just shy of claiming the throne outright.